It's an abomination. It's preposterous. How can you make such a statement? How can you claim that that's a marriage? Just because you can call it marriage doesn't mean it's a marriage. And just because you can call it family doesn't mean it's family. A man and a man's shacking up together and they're calling it marriage. Hallelujah. Praise God. The Bible said in the beginning, God made the heavens and the earth. And when God was finished with all of his creations, he created man in his own image. The Bible said that God made man in his own image. Male and female, he created them. And God said to them, multiply, be fruitful, and be many, and have subjection of all the things on the earth, the fishes in the sea, the birds in the air, the animal that moves upon the land. The Bible said that when God created man, he created him on his own, and then God said that it's not good for a man to be alone. And God created a helper for him, a helpmate for him, for the man. And the man and the woman were joined together. The Bible said, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and his mother and will cling to his wife, will combine to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. And that is the first marriage. That was the first marriage that that was instituted on planet Earth, and it was instituted by God, so that a man should leave his family, his parents, and will join to his wife, and they two will become one flesh. And from that one flesh, they become fruitful. They'll become fruitful and many, and multiply and fill the earth. And so the first marriage, traditional marriage, was set by God, and the same with the traditional family. It was all set by God, but the devil don't like that, because the devil is a liar. So God made man and women to be together, and when God did that, God instituted the traditional marriage, instituted what we know today as the traditional marriage. See, God did not introduce any other thing, any other source of marriage, or any type of other families. So any other type of family besides the traditional family came out of brokenness. It came out of brokenness because man sinned against God, and when he sinned against God, he became broken. God gave him over to the earth that is cursed, and through sin, the Bible said, through sin, death entered into the world, and so it's other kinds of things that are immoral. It is all through sin that these things entered into the world. But first, the plan of God was to make man in his own image, and from him, a man and woman. So God took the rib of the man, and he created a woman. And he brought that woman to the man. And the man said, this is the flesh of my flesh. She should be called a woman. And so God, from then, instituted the first marriage. God was the first person who officiated in the first marriage. He was the first person who formed the first marriage. And so God was the first person, the one who instituted what we know today as the traditional family between a man and a woman. In every traditional family, God blessed that, and God said to them, multiply. That means go and have family, go and have children, be fruitful, yes, have many children, and fill the earth. Contrary to the propaganda that many people are fed today, that the world is overpopulated and that people should be having less and less children. And this was not the plan of God from day one. The plan of God was not population control. The plan of God is to create a world that many people will enjoy, and the world that will be filled with many people. And so that's why God told the man and the woman, to multiply, be fruitful, and become many. And so God did not put a cap on the family size, on how much children you should have, for He instituted all of these things. So the only people that put caps on you forcefully are man. I mean, China put a cap on how many children you should have. It is called one-child policy. The states will say, we allow you to marry, but you're only going to have one child. And that's happened in China, and now they're reaping the consequences of that decision. That's now in China, one man outnumbers 5 women. Like in China now, the ratio is 5 men to 1 woman. That's what China is like right now. Why? Because they chose to tamper with God's plan for mankind. God's plan for mankind to be fruitful and multiply and become many. That is what plan that God has for mankind. So if you are, of course, in a traditional family, if you are, of course, in a family where your mom is married to your dad, and vice versa. I mean, when God created, marriage, He did not create it for a man and a woman to shack up together and call it marriage or call it some type of union. That's not what God's plan for mankind is. God's plan for mankind is a person two people who are committed to God and committed to themselves, and to be fruitful and be many. That's the plan of God. When God created the family, and God did not create marriage for a woman and a woman. There's no such thing as there's no such thing as gay marriage. There's no such thing as lesbian marriage. There's no such thing. It's an invented word by the LGBTQ community. There's no such thing. No such thing existed. God created marriage, the traditional marriage, a man and a woman. Every one of us got here to where we are today because we have parents, a man and a woman getting together and having family. That's what many of us got here by that means. And that's the right way to get here. That's the plan of God for mankind, is that we all get here through that means, through that source that He has made. And that is why it pains me to see people equating marriage, a man and a man's shacking up together, and they're calling it marriage. It's an abomination. It's preposterous. How can you make such a statement? How can you claim that that's a marriage? Or a woman and a woman shacking up together, how can you claim that that's a marriage? And it was not God's plan. Just because you can call it marriage doesn't mean it's a marriage. And just because you can call it family doesn't mean it's family. Many people call a lot of things different name. You know, today people can, a man can dress up like a woman and call himself a woman, and everyone's supposed to bow down, and everyone's supposed to accept that delusion. Everyone's supposed to accept that delusion, but we don't accept because we're people who think straight. You know, we are the people of God. We accept sanity. We don't accept insanity. We call a spade a spade. You know, that's what the people of God are about. So God was the first one who instituted marriage, and mankind today are trying to mess that traditional family up. You know, that's one of the strongest institutions that God has set up on this planet for a whole world, is to have a traditional marriage. God bless you too. That's one of the institutions, the strongest institution that God set up on this planet. And no wonder why the devil, who is the hater of mankind, no wonder why the devil likes to break up marriages. No wonder why the devil who like to break up traditional marriage. And that's so old. That's like, you think I'm gonna cringe because you're slobbering all over yourself. Go get a life. Go get a life. Go get a life, man. Go get a life. Go get a life. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. If you think that makes you stronger, or that makes you bold because you're kissing a girl, like, think it. The problem is your mind. Your mind is disturbed. Your mind needs to be changed. Your mind needs to be changed. When a woman is kissing another woman, they have a a mental illness. It's called mental illness. When a man is kissing another man, it's called mental illness. It's not something that's a normal human being that God created in his own image does. Okay? If you're a girl, you're kissing another girl, you have a mental illness. If you're a man, you're kissing another man, you have a mental illness. That's the fact. I mean, you can call it whatever, you can give me fingers or whatever you want, you can do whatever you like, but it's not gonna change. You're not gonna bully people into changing and accepting your way when your way is ridiculous. At least if the ways of the world is the best way, you wouldn't even need to convince people to follow it. If the ways of the world is you know, for instance, when we see about this jab that people are being forced to take, if you have a vaccine that works, you don't need to force people. They will line up and take it. The same way, if you are a man and you believe that is the best way for mankind to do is to shack up with another man, and I call it gay marriage. If you believe that that's true, you don't need to force anyone to actually accept it. People will accept it originally, you know, very naturally, because it is something that is natural. But nobody would accept it. Why? Because it's not natural. But people accept, you know, traditional family. People accept traditional marriage because it is natural. It is how God created you and I to be. And God said to man, to the man and the woman, said, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. That's a blessing from God. Be fruitful and multiply. It's a blessing from God. You know, but the enemy, the devil, job is to steal that away, is to destroy that institution. You know, the family, the first institution that God set up on this earth, and God backed family up with the church as the second institution on this earth. God backed with the church and said, look, these are my people and these are my the family that I set. God has a rule of how he runs, he rules his planet. He has rules, he has laws in place. And when you violate that law, the Bible we call it's called sin. You're sinning against the true and living God. And you can sugarcoat it and call it all kinds of name. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can try to make up any idea of family you think that is right. All you're doing is making stuff up. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna stand, because for anything to stand in righteousness, it has to have the God's stamp of approval in it, or else it's not in righteousness. It's standing alone, away from God. So, what am I saying? Many of us today came from traditional family. You know, of course, some of us, because of sin, that traditional families get broken into pieces, you know, because of sin. You know, because of sin, family breakup, you know, people get divorced that were married, that should stay married, get divorced because of sin. And then, and if children are involved in that relationship is broken. And that relationship is broken because both parties don't want to acknowledge that they are wrong when they are wrong. The woman will not want to submit to the man, and the man himself, broken in himself, I want the woman to be subjugate to him. So these are all caused by sin. This is all sin. That's what sin is brokenness. And sin is brought into that mix. And that's why people get divorced, people become disillusioned, and they want to break up their marriage. But that's not God's plan. The Bible said that God hates divorce. God hates divorce. When two people, man and a woman in traditional marriage, link together, that should be all the way to the end. There's nobody that's supposed to get together to be married and then divorce. The thinking in their mind that they're going to be divorced in few years. No one thinks that. But it's because of sin, the brokenness of mankind. And that brokenness was brought, a solution was brought for us about that brokenness. God sent forth his Son into the world, and his name is Yeshua. He came and he gave his life as a ransom, as a replacement for our brokenness. He gave his complete life in exchange for our incomplete and broken life. And so today, people can come and be reconciled to God, and God can reconcile them to their families. Even though couples that are broken, that are divorced, God can link them back together again, because God is a God of miracles. We worship a God of miracles. We don't worship a God that nobody sees or nobody can have a relationship with, that is just in heaven and don't interact with us. That's not the kind of God that Christians follow. We worship a God who's active in our life and is active in the life of his children. We worship the God who created everything. We worship the God who formed the first man and the woman and brought them together and said, this is how the family should be. And from there, everyone in the world got that model, the traditional family, a man and a woman in union under God to start a relationship and start family. That is how it is. And that is how it's always going to be in the eyes of God. You know, but today the devil wants to do everything to destroy that. The devil wants to do everything to attack family. And at first, the devil will tell you, well, you have too much children. You're having too much children. And you should only have maybe one or two. Or even today, the young generation are being encouraged not to be married, not to have children. that the world is overpopulated. My friend, that is not true. The world is not overpopulated. The world is not overpopulated. So when they tell you that the world is overpopulated, that you as a young person you shouldn't be married, you shouldn't have children, that's a big, bold lie. That's a bold lie. The people that are telling you these are the people who wants to control you. But in the beginning, God never put a limit in marriage. God never put a limit in children, how many children a family, one man and one woman should have. All God asked them to do is to be fruitful and be many and fill the earth. That's the commandment that God gave them, to be fruitful. You know, this planet can take all of us. This planet, no matter how much children you're able to have, this planet, this whole planet can take it. We are not running out of resources. We have tons of resources. The earth has a lot of potential, but the problem is that greed is the problem. People hoard, and people learn something, they don't teach the other one how to do it, but they want the other countries to be dependent on them, It's not that the world can't feed, the world cannot feed itself. We have lots of land, lots of food. Like look at Canada, for instance. We got so much land. For a country of 32 million or 33 million, we got so much space, so much land in this country. In other places in the world, they have so much land. They can plant food, but the problem is that corruptions and many of these big nations go into these nations to exploit them, exploit their wealth and all kinds of other things. So that's why many places in the world today there's starvation and things like that. Because they don't have enough to feed their children, not because there's no land, but because of corruption. So my friend, the world is not running too much of people. The world is not overpopulated. Anyone that say that the world is overpopulated does not know what they are talking about, number one. And number two, they are worse. They want to control you. There's people going around offering contraception to everybody, and telling you, family planning and things like that. There's no such thing as being irresponsible when having children. You see, that's what the devil wants us to do. The devil wants us to feel like having children or having many children is being irresponsible. But that's a lie. That's a lie. God said, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. That's his command. That's a commandment from God. And that's a commandment with a blessing attached to it. Because if you obey the commandments of God to be fruitful and multiply, then you will not be in a situation that many of us are today. But God said, be fruitful, multiply, fill the whole earth, and subdue it. But the devil comes around and it will tell you, well, it's irresponsible to have children, many children. What they did in China, where they put one-child policy, the problem that is what they are seeing today, that there's so much men and there's less women. Because in China they used to, because of one-child policy that they put in there years ago, many families, when they see that, when they're pregnant and they realize that the baby is a girl, they'll go and kill the baby because the baby is a girl. But if the baby is a baby boy, they'll keep it. So because of that one-child policy in China, there were many men born in China that's now is one man for 5 women in China. and knows to point that many Chinese are going outside to other Asian countries to marry other Asians. Why? Because man put his finger on the laws of God and say that God can say whatever he wants, but we will do whatever we want. We, the Chinese Communist Party, will do whatever we want. But that's not what God planned it for in the beginning. God said to be multiply and be fruitful and be many. So Jesus Christ came into the world, of course, to help us in our brokenness, to turn us to God so that we can have everlasting life. So it's, as we were saying, that the marriage was established by God, and the traditional marriage as we know it, was established by God. But of course we have other things in that's trying to break the marriages. The devil, the enemy of mankind, is the devil that seeks to Good night, sir. So have a wonderful day. Satan, the devil, is seeking to devour family, and so that's what he does in order to destroy the traditional family. He discourages people to have children. He discourages people to just get married. He discourages marriages in other ways by redefining marriage. He discourages, he attacks the marriage, the family, by bringing in all these, using our flesh to cause us to fall away, to fall away from the Word of God. And he brings in all these brokenness, broken families. He attacks the families. He tells the man that he should dominate and don't listen to anybody, not his wife or anything. And then he whispers to the woman. He whispers to the woman that you shouldn't obey your husband. You should not let your husband be the lead in your life. You should be at the same level as leadership. The devil whispers all of these things, and what is the end game was to destroy the family. And so the woman thinks that, okay, I shouldn't listen to any man, and then she stopped not want to listen to her husband or obey or submit to her husband, and then you have divorce. And then children are left in the middle of all of this to pick up the pieces. And so children out of these broken marriages, because of what the enemy has done. So he has attacked family, because he knows that the fundamental bond of humanity is a family. That's why God set up a family between a man and a woman, the traditional family. And the enemy knows that in order to destroy the next generation, he has to destroy the family. And he destroyed the family through divorce. He destroyed the family and which left many people today with many single mothers, single parents. So the single parent is an epidemic. People raising children alone, when the plan of God is for a man and a woman to raise the children together, because both have something to offer to that child's life. But the enemy's job is to destroy that. And the devil goes about to destroy marriage through many divorce, promiscuities, on all kinds of things. And then he also attacks the marriage through inventing other things that they call marriage, like gay marriages or lesbian marriages. All of these things are to destroy and to attack the family, the traditional family that God has set up from the beginning. Because the devil knows that God did not set up a man and a man together. He knows it doesn't work. He knows a woman and a woman's relationship does not work. That's not what God designed it for. He knows. And so what does he do? He brings about the things that he knows that God has not put in place in order to destroy what God puts in place. And he tells people, see, I got another thing. You can call it marriage, I got gay marriage over here. You know what? A man and a man can get married. It's all about love. Love is love. Who can stand against that and say, no, it's not love, it's love? Oh, over here, a woman and a woman can get married and we'll call it marriage. What's wrong with that? It's love is love. See how the devil destroy marriages. And by saying that, he's telling people that it's okay to shack up together. He's telling two women it's okay to shack up together. And then you know what? You can also have children. He can adopt children. You see, that's the problem with our nation today.
Oh, adopting.
That's the problem with our nation. The devil is always doing counterfeits of what God has said from the beginning. The devil is always trying to counter God, do the opposite. And so to make up, down, and down, up. It's all about confusion. And all this confusion is to attack the family, the traditional family, because he knows when he attacks the traditional family, it breaks it apart, the world will start eating out of his hands. He knows that will create a tsunami of children that have no parents. He knows that will create a tsunami of children that are confused. And those children will become vulnerable because they don't have parents. They're both parents in their lives. And that's the plan of the devil. And Jesus Christ, the Bible says, came into the world to destroy the plans of the devil, to destroy the works of the devil. You see, that's why we have the Christians telling you these things. The Christians, because we have been taught by Christ, who was sent into the world to die for the sins of the world and destroy the works of the devil. We have been sent by Christ to let the people know the plans of God, and to let the people know that they can still be in that plan, to destroy the works of the devil, to let the people know that the devil is a liar, and to let them know that this is how God wants them to live their lives. The devil wants you to live a destructive life because his aim, his goal is to destroy. No wonder why there's so much destruction in this world. There's so much, if you're depressed, the devil will give you drugs. He will give you drugs to destroy you, to self-destroy you. There's many things he has in his toolboxes. So in this case, he can destroy the family with drugs. The mom is a crackhead, the dad is a crackhead, and the children get stuck in the middle, and the children don't know what it is. No one is actually advising them. All the children grow up seeing is their mom being dozing off all the time on cry, and all they see is their dad peddling drugs or being high all the time. And so they grow up seeing all of this, and they fall into the arms of the devil, because now the foundation has been destroyed. The foundation that's supposed to give them, nurture them, and grow them up, and so to be a responsible human being and provide and partake in society as a responsible human being. Now they are confused. And the devil will say, you know what, you can do the same thing your parents did. You can be a crackhead, or you can sell drugs like your dad, or you can do all these other things, or you can go into prostitution. All the things that the devil will advise you is to destroy you. The devil do not give you anything that does not destroy you, because ultimately sin destroys. Sin destroys. When you disobey God, there's destruction. When you turn your back on God, there's destruction. The Bible says the wages of sin is death. The payment that sin can pay out to you is death. Sin doesn't pay life. Sin only pays death. But the Bible said the gift of God is everlasting life through Jesus Christ. This is why Jesus came into the world. It's to save sinners, to save those who are broken, and give them a new life. And that could be you today, yourself. And you're hearing my voice and you're saying, this is what he's saying is true. The reason why you're thinking that is because there's still light in you. There's still the Spirit of God tugging your heart and saying, turn from this dangerous path. Turn from this destructive path. Come to me and I will make you new. And I will take away all the pain. And I will give you new life. And you will no longer live your life making excuses about what your parents did. I know, yeah, if your parents sinned and you came from a broken family, yeah, I sympathize with you. It's your parents that sin. But you also, God has given you a mind to be responsible. God has given you a mind to make choices, to choose. And the Bible said, choose for yourself today who you must serve. Choose for yourself today who you must serve. Do you want to serve the devil? Go for it. Go ahead. But do you want to serve the true and living God? Yes. Go for it. That's the best way in life.
I need to hear this today.
Yes.
You don't even know.
Jesus can set you free, sister.
I know.
Jesus can set you free. You have to turn your ears to him.
Praying so much today. I have 7 children, 1 granddaughter,